and help Frontline Kitchen, everybody. And there's so many amazing other meals in there. So make sure you do that. This is so great to have him on here with us right now.
Dr. Nick, they also do pork knuckle. You know this, right?
Yeah, I don't like to think about that. I like to imagine the fake versions. I was flipping through there and figuring out how I could make different things vegetarian, which is possible. So I was looking at the borscht and I've made vegetarian type borscht before, so just figuring all that out. No pork knuckle in my house. All right, don't want to get Edgar upset. But I just came in on this part of the conversation, so I don't know what you all have said yet. Otherwise, so I don't want to ask any question that hasn't been asked yet. But
shoot, Dr. Nick, ask away quick, because otherwise Michelle will have to get her phone back so that Richard, that the other Michelle, formerly known as Richard, can get away and say Butma, Butma, Butma to other people.
I don't know. So I know that Chef Xenia was on here the other day talking about some of the meals and stuff that he cooks for the defenders and all of that. And I was just wondering, this is a very lighthearted question. I was just wondering if you have a favorite meal for them that you like to make that you think is like either their favorite or that you just really enjoy making for them or something, or that they seem to request a lot.
They are a big fan of our Frontline Kitchen borscht, and also the honey and walnut cake. One of the guys from the front came only last month or so and said, hey, the borscht is the biggest morale boost for us possible. And just knowing that it's made in Lviv by some little old babusias, dedicating every single day of their time, fills them with joy and gives them a huge morale boost. To answer your question.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's really neat.
Would anyone like to ask any more questions before I send Michelle home with her own phone?
James?
We were about to go there.
James's hand is up.
I know.
Go ahead, James. Oh, I'm sorry, Axel. I thought you didn't see it too. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want him to forget. Go ahead.
James, mate, shoot.
Yeah, a quick one, Richard. Amazing what you guys are doing. I'm driving across the border once a month. If you need anything, I've got an Audi station wagon. In fact, I'll be there on Sunday if you want to meet up for a pint. Anything you guys need, let me know. Thanks.
Hi, James. Can we just have your Audi station wagon by any chance?
Yeah, you stay at home, James. Just they don't want you at all.
Yeah, no, dude, I actually do need it, but I have and will donate to your, and I'll encourage everyone else that I know to do the same thing. But yeah, let's talk about it on Sunday. If you're around. You're
a true gentleman. If you can DM me, or anyone on here can DM me at Frontline Kitchen, then we can continue these conversations after the chat. Or you can obviously just DM Michelle, and she can just deal with the 1,000 inquiries from all you lovely people.
Richard, I have a question from an alert listener, and I think it's relevant.
What is an alert listener? Is that just someone that's paying attention?
It's a reference to the great American writer Dave Barry.
Okay. Sorry, I'm uneducated.
What kind of health insurance do I need to be in Ukraine or to volunteer? I don't think the European health insurance card is valid there. So if you have someone who comes along to volunteer and they get sick, I presume. I wonder whether you qualify for the Ukrainian national health system.
Very simply, Ukraine is incredibly low cost for if something goes wrong. I put up a post a month back or so from when one of our volunteers had unfortunately had a seizure in the kitchen. So very, very devastating. And we took him to the top neurosurgeon or neurologist in Lviv private clinic, because it was like, look, we want to get him seen immediately. Don't care on the cost. It's like, look, the priority is that this guy is okay, because, you know, he's under our care, he's our friend, and we love him, and we just wanted to make sure he was okay. And yeah, within 10 minutes or so, we're in with this head neurologist, and I think the total cost was about $17 or something along those lines, for complete private healthcare. And people have told me stories of them breaking some arm or something, and you're talking $50 to $100. It's not. I don't personally have medical insurance out here, and I don't think many people do, and I don't think many companies actually cover you. But I'm going to pass you to Michelle, because Michelle has her finger up, so she may be able to answer a bit better than me just saying, "Don't worry about it, it's all fine."
It's always a good idea to pay attention to somebody with their finger up.
Okay, so apparently this is what you're supposed to have to enter Ukraine. They don't mention any normal health insurance or travel insurance, but they do talk about buying some there's specific COVID and then wartime health insurance. Now that's on a particular government website. I was told by others not to bother. However, because I'm a good girl, and because I kind of have this thing where, like, if I don't get it, I'm going to need it. So if I get it, I won't need it. So I just thought, well, you know, £40 is worth ensuring that everything goes fine. So I got it just to be like, calm my brain down. And nobody asks for anything. You do not get asked to show anything at the border. I mean, you can get it if you want to, if you're like me, but there's no requirement. Well, there's a theoretical requirement, but there's no actual requirement. There's nobody checks for this. So no one checked for COVID status. No one checked for any insurance. So even though I was a good girl, I did get those things despite being told I didn't need them. They are correct. You don't end up needing to prove anything to come across.
And also the border guards are super lovely. So for anyone going, oh, I don't know if I can go there and say that I'm volunteering, and what will they say?
They don't ask.
They don't care. They're just like, can I see a passport? And then they see a passport and go, you're allowed to be here for 90 days, of course. So carry on. You don't need to say, oh, I'm a volunteer in X, Y, or Z. You know, you're just coming to help. So
so you've been there presumably for longer than 90 days now. Did you need to go through some process to get that regularized?
Yeah, well, I attempted to do it the official way, because once again, just as Michelle did, she was following the procedures that are outlined by law and whatever else that they say online. And the Ukrainian government website said, oh, yeah, you need to go through these forms X, Y, and Z to be an official volunteer in Ukraine. So I went to the embassy in Krakow, presented them with some forms, and they said, no, it has to be on this specific volunteer charity list that we have. And I said, okay, if I get you this form, when can we do it? And they said, well, it will be 2 weeks' time as the appointment. And I said, well, we can't waste 2 weeks' time. I need to be back in Ukraine. So I just went across the border, overstayed. And then when I headed back for Christmas, they said, you know, you've overstayed. And I said, yes. And they said, why? And I said, I'm cooking for the military. And they said, okay, get on the bus. And that was it. And when I was heading back into the country, they said, you know, you overstayed last time. You're over your limit. Why are you coming back? And I said, oh, I'm cooking for the army. And they said, do you have any paperwork to support that? And it was just effectively a certificate that I'd got from Luda, one of the founders, not on any legal basis at all, just saying, oh, yeah, thanks for volunteering with us. And they saw that and were like, oh, we know Lviv Volunteer Kitchen. Yeah, go for it. Like, you're going to Ukraine. So the reality with all of this is, if Ukraine sees that you're a genuine volunteer, and, you know, have some photos if you need to of where you're going or what you've done, then they're going to be very simple and like very intelligent about the situation. Go, oh, this person is helping the country. Why would we stop them coming in, regardless of whatever rules and laws we have around however long you can stay in the country? And there have been
I think the fine
back and forward, and they've done 60+ runs, and every time they say, "Oh, you've overstayed," and they go, "Yes, I know," and that's the extent of the conversation. So please don't for a second worry about like crossing the border, because they're so lovely and they're happy to see your face.
I think the fine for overstaying is like 1,000 hryvnia or something anyway, and you'd be making a contribution to state coffers practically.
Exactly.
I know Ryan from the space recounts sometimes his backwards and forwards, and he certainly has more hassle off the European Union border guards with regarding his Schengen visa stays than Schengen visa waiver stays than his than his time in Ukraine.
Agreed.
Well,
I can see one more request coming up from Anke, which sounds like yet another German one. Probably that is Anke for Tim, who knows? Given the fact that we have Tim, Michelle, and Michelle on, who knows?
Tim, it might be a German question for you.
Anke.
Okay.
Possible. Anke, guten Abend.
Guten Abend.
Hey there. I mean, I can speak German, but quite frankly, I will stick to English because I'm more comfortable with that.
Thank you.
No problem. But it's a very German name.
It's very German, very Northern German. So when you guys were talking about Hamburg, I was just sitting there laughing my head off. Anyway, I'm trying to, I really appreciated the idea that München is closer to Lviv, München is closer to Bakhmut than Lviv. I'm trying to kind of get all my ducks in a row to kind of talk to my family about this, none of them will be very fond of this idea. One of the things is that we've been fairly careful when it comes to COVID, and COVID's not done. But as a woman who is, over 50, one should have availability to Paxlovid if one gets it. How available is that?
Absolutely no idea.
Okay.
Nobody speaks here about COVID. That's absolutely not a thing here.
Yeah, they're kind of focused on, it
I
may sound
understand.
strange, but because of the war and stuff, like COVID just doesn't exist here. I know that, like, yes, of course it exists and people catch it and whatnot, but it's, I don't know.
I just in order to kind of keep my family happy, I kind of have to tell them that I have a plan.
Get the COVID cover that I mentioned, and you'll be able to hold up you'll be able to hold up an email or something that says you are officially covered for all COVID treatments necessary in in Ukraine.
Okay.
So just go on the official website, visit Ukraine.
Yeah, I just assume that things like antibiotics are generally stuff like that is available, but
yes,
things
it's a fully functioning, as it's Western. I mean, this is a very functional, competent, thriving country. Yes, there's a war, but this place, if it wasn't for the Lviv specifically, if it wasn't for the air raids. What is going on?
Don't forget to take the fourth exit.
Yeah, someone who needs to take the fourth exit.
James in his Audi is going for another exit.
Okay, so Lviv, if it wasn't for the air raid sirens and a lot of there's soldiers walking around the place, you're not on the front lines here. You will be able to get whatever you need, but if the only thing you need to do is convince your family to calm down, then get the insurance, because that talks about any hospitalization you need or anything like that. But
gotcha.
Yeah, this is not the Wild West here. I mean, that they are very welcoming in the terms of the border guards and stuff like that. So they aren't being rigid, but this place, they've got their shit together. You don't need to worry about that.
And antibiotics in a pharmacy here are like $5, so you don't have to worry about it. We haven't got any American pricing system over here.
Yeah, it could be said that it's more challenging to get medical care in the States than it would be in Ukraine, possibly.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Good question, though. Thank you.
All right. No, much appreciated. And Slava Ukraine.
Heroam Slava.
Heroam Slava.
Heroam Slava.
Danke, Anke.
Bitte.
I had to say this.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of those jokes.
It's fine. It's fine. Alrighty. Thank you very much. Let's go to George.
I heard drugs and I had to come up.
Oh, you're from Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, but I'm also a legal
pharmacist.
Yes,
a pharmacist.
I also deal in legal drugs. No, all kidding aside. Now, in Ukraine, it's very, very easy to purchase antibiotics, things of that nature. You don't even need a prescription. So, some of them might seem pricey to Ukrainians, but if compared to the United States, they're pennies on the dollar compared to what you would pay here.
That's a general advice I give to almost any American coming to Europe, is bring your prescriptions, because quite often what you will pay in a European pharmacy, even though you're not getting any reimbursement, it can be less than your copay on American pharmacy prices, depending on the medication. But sort of travel tip there for Americans: when coming to Europe, bring all your prescriptions, pop into the pharmacy and say, how much would 90 days of this and 90 days of that be, and you will sometimes be surprised. On the other hand,
Nick,
don't go into. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say you'll always be surprised. And in Greece, well, here's the other thing: just for anybody traveling in Greece, even mild ailments and things like that, most people go to the pharmacist first because they are very highly trained. They can diagnose most, everyday ailments and things like that, and you don't even need to go to the clinic, and they'll write your prescription or get it for you. They'll even have it delivered to the hotel where you're staying at. So,
the one thing I would say to Americans is, do bring your own Tylenol and Advil, etc., because those are quite expensive here. You go into a retail pharmacy and buy 15 or 20 Advil or ibuprofen paracetamol tablets. I find those much cheaper when I'm in North America. But almost any prescription medicine, your insurance company is getting gouged to hell. And if you're co-paying 15 or 20%, you might well do better just to buy it in Europe. And for Michelle, I don't know if Michelle, we've had the pharmacist. Are you familiar with the comedian Harry Enfield and his Afrikaner pharmacist?
I'm not. I mean, I'm
okay. Go on YouTube and look for Afrikaner pharmacist.
I will do that.
It's yeah. Well, I don't. I think I may, again, if I may interpret your accent, I don't think you are an Afrikaans accent.
No, I'm South African.
Yeah. But yeah, you will. I think you'll have fun. I think you'll have fun with the Afrikaner pharmacist.
Thank you.
Alrighty, it seems we have managed to exhaust the audience. That's a good one. Let's start from the beginning.
I have.
No, seriously.
Oh, Michelle hasn't had dinner yet. You've had her stuck in this apartment for nearly 2 hours. Is it 2 hours now? I think it's about 2 hours.
It's getting on for 10 p.m.
Or 3 hours
in Lviv.
I don't know. What time did we start?
We're at 2:40.
Jeez, yeah,
so
we started
okay.
at 7, didn't we? Well, after the technical difficulties.
A little, yeah, exactly. Hey, it's very simple. You need to come back because we need to make sure that everybody understands that you need a van.
And that I'm not Michelle. Follow Frontline Kitchen.
You have an Android phone. Who knows whether this will work?
Can someone just buy me an iPhone first, and then I won't have to deal with it? No. Żart, which means joke in Ukrainian. That's another word for me. Żart. Oh.
Good. Well, you can always hop over and have a little word with Michelle, and then you later on have to invite her for dinner.
I don't think I can put Michelle through the pain of this again.
It's
It's just
fine.
2.5 hours.
It's
She's
fine.
starving.
It's fine.
Everything shuts. I think she's not actually getting dinner tonight because everything shuts in Lviv around 10.
I have some very peculiar things in my fridge.
She has stuff in her fridge, don't you worry. So she can stay for an extra 2 hours.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
I'll chew on a smoked chicken breast.
Exactly.
That is so typical. This is exactly what you have all across from Estonia down to the southeast of Ukraine. Smoked chicken. Unbelievable. You wouldn't be able to sell this in other parts of Europe at times. Oh, man. All righty. Well, thank you very much, Michelle, and to the person formerly called Richard, and everybody else who's been joining us this evening.
And
that was absolutely delicious.
Thank you to German Tim as well, because for the third time now,
it's a German
he's
Tim.
hosted an interview where we're all sat around his sofa. And every time, because I'm in my lovely hostel, I say, Tim, can I come round to do this interview or this Twitter space? And not once has he said no yet. As long as I promise him beer, German beer, of course,
It's simple.
and a good laugh. He tends to listen in a different room, but unfortunately, because of these telephone problems, we're all crowded around on a sofa now. So a nice pizza
Well,
in
there
front
you
of
go.
us.
Then let's make sure that Tim always has enough beer.
Yes, exactly. It'd be a crime not to have it for German Tim, of course.
All righty. Prost. Vielen Dank.
Bitte schön.
Many thanks.
Well,
this was really good. We should never do this again.
We should never do this again.
Nick,
I was thinking the exact same thing. Well, schlaf gut. Auf Wiedersehen. Do pobачення.
Alles klar.
Lovely to speak with you both, everyone.
Don't forget about us. Don't do this if you come only back next year. All right, so sooner rather than later. You want this van?
I do want a van. I mean, the kitchen wants a van.
Nick and I will. Nick is very good. He has a great singing voice, and we have Welsh Tim, who typically hosts here with us, friend and colleague of ours also, and Tim has a fantastic baritone. So maybe we can get them to sing the jingle for me to talk over.
Deal.
And then we can get this van.
Deal.
All right? There you go.
I'm going to be desperately waiting. But actually, you have to do the main part. You know, you have to bash out the key phrases of get these guys a van. I believe in you.
What are you going to do on Sunday? On Sunday, we're going to have Thomas Tyner. We will have a huge audience. An absolutely huge audience. Trust me.
Sounds good to me.
At some point in time, during that evening, you come up, and we do 5 minutes, a proper plug for Frontline
Only
Kitchen.
5 minutes? Is that all I'm worth to you?
It's a Tyner talk.
Nick hadn't heard of me. You're giving me 5 minutes. Why did I even come on, eh?
It's very simple. It's very simple. Unless you talk about artillery,
deal,
ammunition.
I'm going to do some Googling. Give me 5 minutes.
We could use the tune of the GLSDB song. Get these guys a van. Get these guys a van.
Yes, please do.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. That was delightful.
Thank you very much.
Delicious.
You wonderful people.
See you on Sunday.
Have a beautiful evening. Do pobачення.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
So, Nick, please keep on singing for 5 minutes.
No, my DMs are getting busy already.
Please don't.
All righty, George, what do you have for us? George.
Sorry, I'm all thumbs, guys. Anyway, I just want to give an update on a gentleman who's been on the space a couple of times. We've interviewed him, and that's Ryan Hendrickson. For those that are not familiar with him, he volunteered back last year. He was in the Ukraine helping demine fields for farmers. It's incredible work what he did as an individual. He helped train some Ukrainian engineers, sappers, to help them learn the tools of the trade, some of the things that more up-to-date equipment. He is now planning a trip in April He's close to getting the equipment he needs. He's going to be bringing, I believe, 50 state-of-the-art mine detectors with him. He's a little short on funding. So it's Ryan Hendrickson. Axel, is it okay if I post a tweet of his in the space? Or you want me to send it to you?
Shoot.
And then you can, okay.
No,
And
do it.
yes, because while he's going in April, for everybody listening, he is going to do some really good work. He's going to help farmers demine their fields, because that is an important step, not only for Ukraine, but since we consider Ukraine the breadbasket of the world, it is going to be an important step to get these farmers to be able to, plant their crops for this upcoming season. Also, for a lot of countries around the world, primarily South America and in Africa and in other and in the Middle East, because they are large purchasers of Ukrainian grain. So I'm going to be posting that up on the space here, and please give the guy a follow. He's been on here several times, right, Axel? And he does. He's doing a great mission by doing this. He's going to be training other Ukrainians with and the 50 mine detectors will be going to Ukrainian units, so that they can help not only demine battlefields, but also, like I said, help get Ukrainians' farming economy back on its feet.
That's a very good point, and it's absolutely vital that experts such as Ryan Hendrickson, and there's many of them, come into the country, bring their expertise to bear. Obviously, many of them also need to get their licensing in shape in Ukraine. They need to work with local authorities, but then again, there is substantial demand and openness by the Ukrainians to do so. So people who are interested in that field should definitely get in touch. There is a sincere demand. It's also one of the most dangerous occupations you can have. And the last time Ryan was on, he explained that a number of the colleagues who had been working alongside of him, as well as in the same area from the various troops, have unfortunately perished. George.
Yeah, I was going to say, when he first went to Ukraine, he met with James, and James knew the lay of the land in some of the areas they were going. And if you look back, there's a lot of videos, and in a span of a day, you're talking about he knows. So the thing about Ryan is he's really good at what he does. He knows how the Russians mine, lay the mines. That he knows the equipment they use, and he's got certain videos where he shows you. So what? A lot of times, what the Russians do is they use a machine that just plants the mines into the soil. So if he finds one or two in a row, then he can quickly demine at least that strip. But in a day's work, he demined several acres, which obviously helps. So his organization is called Tip of the Spear, and I posted the link. It's I think the first one on the left in the nest. So please give the man a follow and share the link that I have, to your other followers, and let's help him do the work he does, because it benefits all, right? So we can not only help Ukraine, but help the situation in the other world, the other parts of the world. Remember, inflation. Part of the problem with inflation is with food prices is that Russia has mined all these areas, and that was one of the objectives of Putin, was to drive up prices and cause a worldwide famine, where the allies of Ukraine would ask them to sue for peace so that the war could stop. And obviously he's failed in that. And Ryan's one of the guys helping Putin fail in that objective. So.
All righty, Nick, can you take over for a second? I need to have a word with the person formerly called Richard and now Michelle.
Anybody there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. I guess it's me then for a minute because I think they're both gone. Axel, I know, stepped away. So why don't we go to Scribe?
So I actually had a question, but I also have a secondary question now for George. Has Ryan got bought plane tickets yet to go over to Europe? Or if he has, I don't worry about anything, but if he hasn't, I could potentially help in that field since I am a travel agent and I can potentially get him cheaper tickets over to wherever he needs to go in Europe and hotel. Then my question that I was originally going to ask was, so I saw the news today. Did Poland actually give Ukraine jets today?
The official said they will be there in a few days. There is no news that they are already there. I just saw another post who claimed they are already there, but I don't believe it because otherwise they would have mentioned it. But they will be there in a few days, and it will be MiG-29. If that answers your question, Scribe.
It does.
Okay. Did George answer your question about the plane tickets or anything? I don't know that he knows that, but
No, I think George. George, in that moment, George just jumped off. So I don't think he has heard it.
Okay. Scribe. Then. Oh, there he is. Why don't you ask your question to George again? Hold on, he's coming up. I don't think he's totally up yet. Are you there, George? I see him, but okay, go ahead, George. Scribe had a question for you, George.
Go ahead.
And I don't know if you got to answer it before you vanished.
Okay, no, I didn't.
Hear you.
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Go ahead, Scribe.
I was wondering if Ryan had already bought plane tickets to Europe yet. If not, I could potentially help in that area because I am a travel agent. I can potentially get him cheaper tickets as well as hotel booking. So once he gets over into Europe, he can stay somewhere and then he can then go on to further down into Ukraine.
All right, Scribe. DM me, and then I've got connection with Ryan, and I'll ask him. But DM me so I don't forget who brought this forward. Okay.
And this is also a positive thing about the space, that we get people connected.
It sure is. So, Mr. M, so, Scribe, make sure you do that. Did you hear him say that?
Yes, he did. He did already. I just saw the DM.
Okay, great.
All right, and I want to. I did get a question from one of the listeners. I guess it couldn't come back up in the space because I just really quick. Somebody asked me about what is suing for peace is. Just really quick. So, what the goal was of Putin? One of the things was obviously to use energy, right? Gas and things like that. Nord Stream 2, remember, was completed just a few months before the war started. So that was going to be one of the things he was going to try to use as a wedge issue between Ukraine and its potential allies. And the other thing was going to be obviously to try to, stop Ukraine from, exporting their food products, right? Their grains, which would have a twofold thing. One would just help try to destroy Ukraine's economy and also cause, a starvation, famine, what have you. And what that would do is, in his view, in his warped view, because he's a sick, a maniacal bastard, is that way, because of high energy prices and high food costs and the famine, that Ukraine's allies, namely the United States and Great Britain, from the pressure from other countries, would beg Ukraine to have a ceasefire, right? Especially after he got his ass kicked. Ass completely kicked, right? And he knew he was getting his ass kicked north of Ukraine, north of Kyiv, because obviously 3 days, yeah, that was wishful thinking, and their column started blowing up. He was hoping that that was going to be a wedge issue. So when we say suing for peace, is you're begging, your allies beg you to go to the peace table, because continuing the war is going to be costly for everybody else involved. But guess what? He didn't understand that the United States speaks softly sometimes, even the current president, Biden, but carries a big stick. And Germany wasn't about to fuck around and find out with Nord Stream 2. So that got closed really quick. And then, of course, we had the grain deal. And yeah, all his plans blew up in his face. So that's what suing for peace is, where you try to put the other person in a headlock where they'll be like, okay, enough, they want to tap out. But obviously that was not going to happen with the Ukrainians. Doesn't matter what anybody else said, but their allies were quick to respond. So I just wanted to clear that up. Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys, for letting me say that.
You're welcome, George. Prince, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I'm checking in to see how we're doing today. I have sort of a weighty topic that I'd like to bring up about the UN, but I think mockers may have something more concise to bring up. Dr. Nick, are you going to be around a little bit later to talk about the UN Human Rights Committee?
Yeah, I can be. Like, when do you think that'll be?
Apologies.
You cut out, I didn't hear you. Okay, Nick. Prince.
Apologies, but I had to step away from the step out of the co-hosting pod for a moment, as something is ongoing in real life. It's awkward, isn't it? And the phone rang. Mockers, are you bringing us some? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, Prince was in the middle of telling me something. Prince, when will that be? Oh, you're cutting out, Prince.
I think you have to mute your mic, Dr. Nick, so she can answer.
I'll send you a message on Signal. I'm going to talk to Alan too for a second about it. So I'll send you a message.
Okay, sounds great.
Thanks.
All righty. So I believe Mockers is bringing us a topic. Thank you, Mr. M, for covering for me while my well, I had to quickly leave the room. Mockers.
You're welcome. Graag gedaan, joh.
Well, I've been following the sorry tale of the 143th Regiment that Chris Owicki has been reporting on. And, well, there's more to this sorry tale. It goes on and on. It's quite the saga. If you ever really want to catch up with it, by all means, go and read his threads.
Which numbered reg 143?
The 143th, yes. Oh, yes. They were reportedly virtually wiped out in their latest attack on Avdiivka. Now, remember we said Avdiivka is the place where you go when you've kicked up enough of a fuss, and they basically send you to Avdiivka to get rid of you. And this appears to be what's happened to these guys. These are one of the groups that filmed a plea to Putin they filmed one of these videos saying, you know, what's going on? Why are we being sent here? And, you know, they're not sending us with proper training and stuff like that. They made this big whine about it, and their wives whined too. So anyway, the what's happened further is these guys were sent into one particular assault, and it was terrible. And then they were sent. They reported back, the ones that lived reported back to their wives about how awful it was, and that they were afraid, and they had to be going back to the front even though they didn't want to. And then some of them just magically disappeared in Avdiivka. Don't know what happened to them. So this information comes from the independent Baikal Journal, and it reports on the effort of one of the wives, Marina, to find out what happened to her husband, Andrei. As previously reported, they were given minimal training and equipment and sent to the front line. And he had specifically said to her on the telephone that he had been sent to slaughter. The first assault they carried out was the 23rd of February. It was an absolute bin fire, let's call it that. The people who were supposed to be doing reconnaissance with a drone were either drunk or asleep, so they got lost and ended up stood in the middle of the road. As you can imagine, this made them a brilliant target, and they started getting fired upon by the Ukrainians. So they all crawled back to a trench and eventually made it back to their starting point, where they recorded their video to Vladimir Putin. I think they were originally from Irkutsk, that one. Anyway, after recording the video, they were summoned to the prosecutor's office and remotivated. Andrei told his wife that one officer stood silently with his eyes down while the other tried to cajole them. Come on, men, there's no one else to fight, we have to. And at the time, they were promised backup artillery, which never arrived. Marina asked her husband, do you believe what they've told you? And he said, no, it's bull bleep. But what can we do? We have to go. He then called his wife again before a fresh assault on the 1st of March, which many of the men are reported to have been killed or injured in. Marina said that he told her they were being sent to their death this time. I tried to reassure him that everything would be all right, but he only added kisses and disconnected the phone. Since then, she has been contacting the various officers in the Russian military and even Putin's office himself. But no one has provided her any information. Soldiers from Andrei's unit have said that while they were hit by mortar fire, while trying to attack Ukrainian positions, they were armed only with automatic rifles and were said to have sustained at least one dead and another 19 injured. One soldier said that Andrei had been killed, but another said he was definitely seen alive in a trench. Like many others who were mobilized last September, Andrei was afraid of being prosecuted if he refused the summons. Once at the front, he called his wife and said, "This is not our war. Why are we sent out here? Let these people sort it out themselves." With her husband now missing and likely dead, or in captivity perhaps, Marina is deeply disillusioned by the war and the Russian state's propaganda. She was quoted as saying, "This is not a special operation. It's not a war. It's just bullshit." She has also been quoted saying, "It's just awful. I don't watch TV channels 1 or 2 anymore. I know what's really going on, and I don't believe in anything they tell us, neither in Russia, nor what's happening in Ukraine." Sorry, I had to paraphrase that slightly. Yeah, so that's what's been going on. And for some reason now, I cannot get back into the space.
You are in the space. I'm not certain what you mean.
I can't maximize it. Every time I go to like come back to like, you know, look at who's in the space. I can't do that. It just says cannot fetch space. I can turn my mic on and off though. That's helpful.
Are you on Android?
You already know the answer to this. Of course I am.
My memory is like a sieve. Try the phone's home button. So go back to the phone's home button and then press the Twitter, launch the Twitter app, or press the button that launches the Twitter app. It won't cut you off from the space, but it will give the Twitter app a little kick up the derriere and tell it to refresh the graphics. I find that's quite helpful. For example, when the app is no longer updating the speakers or showing me the hands correctly, just go back down to the home screen, restart the Twitter app so that you get the screen where the first thing that happens is the splash screen in blue with the bird on it for a couple of seconds, and that will usually be Twitter rebuilding the graphics from scratch, and that helps quite a lot for me.
Is no one talking, or is it just me?
I think we have a technical glitch.
I guess no one is
I think we have a technical
And
glitch.
I couldn't unmute my
Stop
mic.
Break.
Oh,
Break. We have a technical
Okay.
glitch.
I'm going to take this moment just one more time to plug the cookbook for.
Okay, break. The space has a technical glitch. Some people are cycling
You were
out.
cut off, Dr. Nick, so we didn't hear that last piece.
Can you hear me?
Hello? So
Yes.
anyway,
Okay,
so
guys, break.
the cookbook is the second link. I put in
Dr.
the
Nick,
message
can you hear
earlier.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so the space has a massive technical glitch. By the sounds of things, it's kicking us all out, and people can't hear one another. People can't speak. I think we might be in a situation where we might have to restart. So, Axel, you go ahead. One sec.
You mean have me?
I mean, Axel, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So Nick cannot unmute